coming up, we have one half of the NFC 150 main event, fight of the decade. He came off on the, I don't even want to say losing end. He came off on the short end of the main event with a second round TKO defeat. But we want to welcome in Yamato. I hope I'm saying that right as well. Doug Usher. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Doug Usher. Doug.
What's going on? What's going on?
Throw him up, man. What it look like? You wrapped up. What did the doctor say?
I'm playing. 6 to 8 weeks. It's got to have 2 screws and a plate put in it. So it's actually, let me see if I could. This finger, middle finger here, that one, see how swollen all these knuckles are? Well, the bone right there to the middle finger is snapped completely in half. So if I would have threw one more strike with it, the way it's snapped, it's angled. The snap is going up. That's why there's such a bulge on my hand. I can get it in here. You see that bulge right there? That's actually the top of my hand. That's how swollen it is. So one more shot would have sent the bone completely out of the top of my hand. So yeah, it was best that the fight was stopped. But a lot of people don't they think I broke my hand with the last punch at the end of the second round, which broke it the rest of the way. It was actually broken in the first round. So if people remember, I was walking across the ring when I was coming forward, going after Jared, and I was opening and closing my left hand. And every time I did it, it was popping. So I knew something was wrong with it. I didn't think that it was broken at the time, so it was probably fractured. So I decided to keep going. In between rounds, I went to tell my corner that there was something wrong with my hand, but I stopped myself from doing it, and I just went on out there for the second round. But halfway through the second, when we were up against the cage, I think I threw a flurry or something like that and hit him with my left hand again, and then I immediately stepped back and looked down at it. And I looked up, and Jared looks at me, and he goes, and then we kept going. So then the last shot at the end of the second round that I threw over the top, I landed the punch, and I felt my hand shift, and I felt pain in it. And that's when I turned and went towards the ref and was telling him that it was broken, and turns out I was very, very right. So it probably started out as a fracture, and then the more punches I threw with it, the more I broke the bone going throughout the fight. So now it's got to have 2 screws and a plate put in it, and I'll be out of commission for 6 to 8 weeks.
I can't even imagine how disappointing it is to be a fighter and you're losing 2 rounds to 0, and you got to stop the fight like that. But you were actually winning decisively 2-0. Like, not only how much did that piss you off, but how much more difficult did it make for you to go to the corner and possibly stop the fight at that point, knowing you were up 2-0?
Well, like I said, I own pressure washing business. I already got jobs and stuff lined up, so I knew basically what really needed to happen. I was trying to get advice from the corner on what to do, and I took too long to answer the ref because he asked me, "Can you continue?" So I turned back to the corner, and I'm talking to my coaches about what should I do. They're giving me different advice and stuff. And I'm like, it's completely broken, and they're like, use the right hand, and just fight with your other tools. And I look back at the ref, and he looks at me, he goes, "Can you continue?" And I'm still looking at my corner, trying to get a for sure answer. And he waves the fight off. So it was probably for the best. I know his job is to protect the fighter. He knew there was an injury. I didn't know it was this severe, but it's just pretty bad. So I've never broken my hand before or anything like that. So
I was about to start calling you Dr. Doug Usher, because listening to you talk, it's almost like I am talking to Dr. Doug Usher instead of Dr. Jeff Traub. You've analyzed it from the start till the end here. But why couldn't you do that? For the people that talked to me after the fight, why couldn't you just finish the fight with your right hand or with kicks or with knees or take him to the ground and just smother him for 3 minutes? Did that ever cross your mind? And why couldn't you do that?
Well, I know the way that I fight and my mindset when I'm in there. So my stubborn ass would have threw this again and would have really, really severely messed it up. That, you're talking about going to the ground. If I go to fall to my left or lean to my left, I got to put my hand down. You're going to instinctively, because you're in fight mode. If he throws a kick, he throws a punch on this side, I have to put to defend it. So either way it goes, I go into the third round like that. I'm still going to mess it up even worse. And what you don't want to do is do irreversible damage to it. And that's why I didn't. I mean, it was the best decision to go ahead and stop the fight. To make sure there's no more further injury to the already pretty bad injury that there already is.
Completely understand, Doug Usher, again joining us here on NFC Now. Do you think that decision was made easier because your point was essentially proven? Like, how do you feel the beginning of the fight played out in terms?
The beginning of the fight, it takes me a lot of times. It takes me a minute to get going. The fight, man, it was a tough fight. I can honestly say I was fighting on reserve. I was trying to make sure I wouldn't blow myself out, trying to go after a knockout or something like that, because halfway, probably 2 minutes into that first round, I felt that weight cut. So your body was telling your body to do this, throw that, do this, throw that, and then your body's like, well, no, it don't work that way, because the hell you put us through for the last 72 hours. So I had to take what my body would give me. But I knew, I got enough experience to know, and fight IQ to know when to let off the gas and go into like a cruise mode and then still manage the fight. So that's what I did to make sure I wouldn't exhaust myself, because that weight cut was hell. So I currently have to figure something out with that, which way I'm gonna go after this fight.
Yeah, can we talk about the weight cut, man? You came in at 191 and some change, man, to the surprise of a lot of people. What took place? How was the weight cut? And when did you realize that you weren't going to be able to make the 185 limit?
Well, I was down to like 200 flat, like 2 weeks previous to that. But as we got closer to fight week, I took some advice from a teammate about water loading. And I haven't really water loaded since my amateur days. And I was like, he's like, you got to water load, man. You got to water load so you can make weight. So I did it. I put down 2 gallons of water Tuesday. Wednesday was like 1.5 gallons. Thursday, 1/4 gallon, small amount. Friday, nothing. So basically I'm trying to cut the water weight, and I guess my body was trying to hold on to all of it. So I did salt baths, Epsom salt bath with green rubbing alcohol. I did that till about from 9 p.m. at night to 3 a.m. and only lost 3 pounds. Before that, I was in the sauna that day for about a 5.5 hour period on and off, trying to get some weight off. And then Friday morning, I was in the sauna from like 7:30 all the way up until it was time to leave it for weigh-ins at 12. And I finally got down to 191 from 203.
At 39, Doug, with 3 kids and a pressure washing business, is missing weight as detrimental to you versus Doug Usher at 29?
it's still the same to me. You know, whether I'm going into my first fight ever at 27, you know, until this last fight here at 39, you know, you're supposed to, your part of your job is to make the weight, you know, and that's why I'm in the debate right now, because the last two fights I haven't made the weight. So I'm in a debate right now on what can I do to get my weight back down to walking around 204, 205 consistently, or go ahead and put on the extra weight and go up to 205, to which I would basically try to search for, because I'm too small for 205. I don't have the height. So I would search for 85ers that actually went up to 205. I would search for the guys like that to go against, and guys like over in St. Peru, the 6'4" former Tennessee defensive end, 240 that cuts down to 205. You know, that's stupid for me to take a fight like that.
So I put a post out there, and I'm sure you saw it today. And I actually texted you, Julian, a minute ago about doing a long discussion of this maybe next week when we do have the Facebook Live going, instead of doing a huge discussion tonight. I think maybe we postpone the full discussion of going into it. But you missed weight, and me and you are good friends, so I wanted to get your input of it. When a fighter misses weight, or anything happens, a fighter misses weight, a fighter gets COVID, a fighter has an injury with no medical excuse, a fighter doesn't show up at weigh-ins between the 1 and 3 p.m., and a fighter just causes a fight to get canceled. Your fight still went on. Jared took the fight. He took the money overage, and the fight still went on. But should a fight get canceled at the weigh-ins or a day before weigh-ins or whatever, who, in your opinion, should pay the fighter that did what they were supposed to do? Say Jared walked out at weigh-ins. A lot of people always think the promoter should pay him, whether that's me or someone else. And I'm just discussing for all promotions. How do you think that should be handled better? Should a fighter that fucked up pay the other fighter? Should the promoter have to come out of pocket? Should be split? Like, what are your thoughts?
Well, as far as like a fighter having to pay another fighter out of their own pockets, I mean, that would probably end up being some type of legal issue. You would have to get lawyers and stuff like that involved in it, especially if it's a significant amount of money. But as far as fights getting canceled, like somebody's fight actually has to get canceled, I believe that the commission should punish the fighter. There's fighters that make it to fight week and pull out of fights consistently over and over and over and over and over, and some of these people don't ever get banned. You still see them getting rebooked on shows.
Yeah, I just saw a guy this week. Yeah, I don't want to name his name because I'm not here to bash him, but there's an Atlanta guy that unfortunately hasn't fought the last 2, 3, 4 times he's been advertised the fight. And it messes up the promotion, and messes up the other guy, and messes up the fans, because there's fans that plan to go get a nice steak dinner and then come to the fights, and you're messing up their Saturday night. And I just saw him booked for an out-of-state show. I saw the poster pop up yesterday, and I don't know what weight class it is. Maybe he's voluntarily going up a weight. I have no idea. But I think the commissions do need to step in and force a fighter at some point in time to go up a weight class, or make some kind of punishment. You're punished for 6 months, whatever it might be.
Doug Usher, just in the case of you and Jared Gooden, if Jared said he didn't want to fight you because of the weight miss, how would you have taken that? And if you were in Jared's shoes, what does that decision look like essentially?
Well, I mean, I would have just dealt with it. They would have walked away from the situation and took their show money. I would have been, okay, well, then we won't fight. But if it's me, like, I've fought guys that missed weight before also. I took the fight anyway. I didn't even take any of their purse money. I just took the fight, because at the end of the day, he's trying to feed his family like I'm trying to feed mine. We all got to take care of ourselves out here. So plus we can get seriously hurt doing this type of things. So it's like, I would have still took the fight, if he would have missed weight, because people are coming to see the fight and everything like that. So
Is
And that's
this
what it would have been with me.
is this also kind of like that unspoken code that we speak on sometimes about, like, fighters? What is kind of like the idea in your gym? Yeah, I know you can't speak for all fighters, but just with you, when it comes to fighters and missing weight and whether or not they should take the fight.
A lot of the times I leave it on, like on my guys, I'll leave it on them. Hey man, you still want to fight or what? And most of the time they're like, I don't care, let's fight. I came to fight. Let's go on with the fight. I did all this training and everything, spent the money on the camp, the medicals. I'm still going to fight, you know. So I usually leave it on them. I let them make the decision on whether they want to fight them or not, and they always fight them.
And this is my last one before I kick it to you, David. Let's say in the sense that Jared walks. Does Jared still supposed to get paid? And he says, like, no, I don't want to fight you. You're too overweight. Does Jared still deserve to get paid?
Well, we're bound by a contract. So unfortunately, that's the way the contract's set up when you're pro. Unless somebody pulls with enough amount of time for notice, that fighter still gets paid their show money.
And that's what I want to discuss next week in longer with different fighters or managers on here. And maybe you don't read the contract that much, and I know a lot of people don't as well. But I actually disagree, and that's what I want to get your opinion of, because I think people are going to make it look like I'm the asshole. But my goal is actually to make sure fights happen. My goal is to make sure Jared does say yes at the weigh-ins. There's actually, and it's not even hidden, it's a paragraph by itself on the contract. It says if any fights are canceled at any point in time, neither fighter would be paid their purse money. Fighters are paid a purse money to, quote, fight, and a bonus to, quote, win their fight. If you don't fight, you will not get paid. So that's actually what's in my contract, and it's been in my contract for probably 5 or 6 years. I know at the weigh-ins, Matt Woodruff said to Jared, if you walk now, you get your show money. And I don't think Matt did anything wrong by saying that, because it's kind of always been understood that way. But I've asked Matt and the Athletic Commission for clarity on that for years, and they've always punted it back, saying it's not our decision. Whatever's in the contract between a fighter and promoter is what happens, and we're not here to dispute contracts. So I've oftentimes paid a fighter if the fight's canceled the day of the fight, the day of weigh-ins, maybe even a day or two before weigh-ins. I've asked the commission if there's a cutoff date or a percentage of it or anything. There's no rule. It's just what's in the contract. Where I don't know, in the future, I think I am going to force that a fight doesn't happen. Neither fighter gets paid, just because my goal is to put on fights.
Right. And I mean, NFC is a regional promotion. You really can't be throwing out money like that you're not going to get a return on. So I understand that from one businessman to another. I understand why you make your contract that way. And I mean, if I was in your shoes, trying to run a small regional promotion too, I would probably more than likely do the same thing, put that clause in the contract. Also, because at the end of the day, man, I mean, you got money on your end also.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, if that is going to be the case, should you, if that's an old form of thinking that fighters should get paid just for weighing in, do you think that maybe you should change the win bonus? It's like, look, if I fight, I'm going to get X amount of dollars, or should you still have that win bonus clause in there? Because that's also something that has been a topic of conversation.
Well, if it was me, if I was in Dave's shoes, I would cut it to a percentage. If the fight where it was not a pro fight was where it was not to happen, because of something like that, somebody decided not to fight because the other fighter missed weight, I would have it as a clause as to where it would be like a percentage of that win, but of that show money would go to the fighter that chose not to fight, because at the end of the day, you're still choosing not to fight. So I wouldn't give the entire show bonus or money, the show money. You would get a percentage of it because you made a conscious decision not to go through with the fight. It was your decision not to do that. Or it wouldn't be too far-fetched to not give it to him at all. Mm-hmm. Because there was not a physical ailment to the other fighter, to the other party, to where they could not physically come out and perform. You
Exactly.
decided not to perform. Yeah, you decide. You made the decision not to perform.
That's what I think
So
as well.
now, yeah.
You have the
So now that
opportunity.
I look at it that way, the way Dave thinks makes a lot of sense now. So yeah, I'm 100% on board with him because there's no injury, there's no sickness. You chose
Right.
not to fight because the other guy missed weight.
But let's talk about that choice as well. Like there's levels to somebody choosing that. Like let's just say, and I can't speak for Jared, but if Jared's trying to continue to progress his career and now he's fighting somebody that is severely weighs more than him, that could maybe not, if he's decided no, I don't want to take that fight, he's also making a business decision for his career. Like you're a fighter, could you look at it from that perspective as well?
Yeah, I can. You know, if somebody comes in like 10, 12, 13 pounds overweight, something like they didn't even try to make weight, then I can understand that. You know, if they come in, they're regular weight, like say if it was a 155 fight and the guy comes in damn near 170, you didn't try. You didn't even, you didn't run, you didn't jump rope, you didn't even break a sweat during camp. You came in at, at the weight you was when you left the buffet, so as for someone who I came in at 191 when I was supposed to be 87, that's not that much of a difference from where I would have been at 87. I would have still been the same size the next night.
Mm-hmm.
It's just 4 pounds. It would have been water.
So I guess that's us defining like what is that number? Like what
Right.
You're a fighter. What is that number? Overweight.
So
to where it's like, nah, he didn't try.
Right.
What's
Right.
that
For
number?
me, it would be somebody coming in. We were fighting at 85. Somebody coming in at 200, 205. You didn't even, you didn't try. You didn't try to make the weight. So at that point, yeah, it's a concern because that person may have been around 220 and just got down right there and just was like, you know what? I'm staying here. You fight or you don't want to fight.
And at that point in time, that fight can't even take place. Once at your weight class, 185, you guys both had to be within 9 pounds of each other. So when I found out you were going to be heavy, I talked to Jared, find out what he weighed. He was actually underweight, I think 172 or 173. And I had to actually tell Jared to stop off at McDonald's and get a couple cheeseburgers and start drinking some Coke to get him up in weight because I knew you'd be about 191. So I had to make sure he was over about 183, 184, with no exception. Need to make sure he was over that weight. But we talk about weight causing issues for fights a lot, but, even dumb things like laziness. What if a fighter just waits till Wednesday or Thursday to get his eye exam done? You get your eye exam done maybe Thursday, the day before weigh-ins. You fail your eye exam. Turns out you never knew it, but your eyes just aren't very good. And that cancels the fight the day before weigh-ins. It brings up the same question. Who pays for something like that? If you fail an eye exam or it turns out you have hepatitis B and you never knew that, does the promoter come out of pocket and pay the other fighter, or who gets paid in those situations?
Well, at that point, you waited that late to do your exams, knowing you had to do them at least 2 weeks out. Need to be turned in at least 2 weeks prior to fight week. And you turn it in 2 days prior to the fight. So I think that should be on the athlete because you had plenty of notice to get your blood and eye work in long before the fight was ever supposed to schedule.
But I can't find a fighter. I mean, if Jared failed his eye exam on Thursday and your fight versus him was canceled, you'd still want to get paid by me. But it's not like I can go to Jared and say, hey, man, you failed your eye exam on Friday. You waited till the last minute. I'm not paying Doug his purse money. You pay Doug his purse money. People are crucifying me if I tried to do something like that. So that's the problem.
Right.
That's the question I've had for 20 years is who pays the fighter that did what they were supposed to do, or does that fighter even get paid if there's not a fight?
Well, didn't you do something like that with Ben Brewer? When I fought him for not showing up on for the Vic K fight.
I have no idea what I did. I'd have to look back. That was probably
and I think he had to fight. I think he had to fight for free because he was a no-show for the Vic K fight.
So I
the day of
think
the fight.
I think once in a while the athletic commission will actually suspend and hold it to the guy. And there is one fighter here in Atlanta that is suspended until he chooses to pay us because he blew off the weigh-in as well. And if you want, you can hit me later and I'll tell you who that is. But he's actually suspended for lifetime till he pays me, I think, $250 because that's what I paid the opponent. And that's the only time I can think of, maybe Ben Brewer, where guys were actually penalized because I had to pay for their fuck ups basically. And I've told Matt Woodruff I wish the athletic commission did this every time because I think it would encourage more fighters to get their blood done weeks in advance, get their eyes done week in advance. If there's a weigh-in at 1 o'clock and they have to be there between 1 and 3, they'll show up by noon and be in the parking lot at noon to make sure they don't blow a flat tire on the way. I've always thought if we penalize fighters more, it would cause a better incentive for fighters to do their job to ensure both guys have a fight. It would make me look like the asshole, but I think it would make sure more fights happen, which is the goal.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
Doug Usher, as somebody that's been fighting for a majority of his adult lifetime, man, like just how important is it for you to get these fight checks, man, after all the work that you put in? Like, could you imagine if you did put in the work, you made the weight, and you weren't able to get paid from anybody?
I mean,
he beat my ass. Doug would come beat my little ass.
I'd feel some kind of way, you know. Like I said, I've been fighting since I was 27, 39 now. I got started late. A lot of these guys have been fighting since they were 18, 19, 20 years old. So I guess that's why I can keep while I'm still going. But yeah, you know, the amount of work you put in, all the money you spend during the fight camp, you know, you got to pay coaches and stuff, especially when you're on a level like mine. You can pay coaches and you know, things like that. And you have to pay fight camps. So, you know, you kind of want to make it back to the end of doing something that you love. This sport, it doesn't pay like boxing. You have to really love what it is that you do if you're doing this, because I've always said, like, especially recently, any one of us that gets in the cage and decides to get in a fist fight with each other, throwing punches and knees and kicks and elbows, there's a little something wrong with all of us. Something has happened to us in our lives that's traumatized us to where we'll go lock ourselves in the damn cage and basically try to end each other's lives. So it is kind of important to get that check at the end, to try to, you know, to at least try to break even, even if you lose the fight, you know, but you're doing something that you love to do. And a lot of people, man, this is something that was on their bucket list. And for a lot of us fighters, you know, especially that's been through a lot in life, it's an outlet for us. You know,
is a rematch with Jared Gooden something you're interested in, or have you guys ended what happened?
I have no clue if he's interested in it. I'm open to rematching anyone that I've ever fought, from amateur to pro. I'll rematch anybody. I'll honor them with the rematch, because it's after you fought somebody, especially after you go to war, you know, it's, in my opinion, it's respect. So if that person asks you for a rematch, in my opinion, in my mindset, I will always honor that man with a rematch out of respect for true competitors and to see who is the better fighter or the better martial artist between the both. That way you've already shared 15 minutes or either 25 minutes with that person in the ring, going after each other. So that means it would mean a lot to me for any of my former opponents to reach out and ask for a rematch. You will always be honored with the rematch out of respect and out of the samurai code and the martial arts code. I will always honor any former opponent with the rematch.
I guess my question more was, you were up 2-0. You were on your way to probably a 3-0 win in that fight until the broken hand. Are you going to be bugging me and Jesse for a rematch? Is that something you want?
First, I have to see which weight class we're going to compete at. If we were to rematch after the hand heals, we'd have to go up in weight, and I'm not sure if he wants to do that, because it was a battle trying to get the fight anyway. If I could find a way to trim my weight back down, which I was in talks with someone today about it, some methods and ways that I could go to try to accomplish that, so I could stay at 85 and not go up to 205, then I'll still be around, and that's for anybody out there that wants to try it at 85, new opponent or former opponent. I'll always be here, and I'll be ready to go. But right now, I have to figure out which weight class I can try to adjust my body to, especially getting ready to be 40 years old in January. I have to figure out, which path is going to be the best one for me.
Doug Usher, ultimately, I feel like you proved your point, which was, last time you came and talked to us, you essentially was like, look, I'm not afraid of anybody. You're going to call me out. I'll honor the call out. I'll fight you. I thought we were friends. You thought something else, I'll fight you. You went in there for a round and a half. It seemed like you handled your business. You weren't afraid. You dealt out a lot of punishment. And, ultimately your hand broke. The decision didn't go your way. But I felt as if your point was proven, that you are a martial artist. You will fight anybody, anywhere, at any time.
Yeah, anywhere at any time. As far as the fight goes, it was an exciting fight. He held his ground. I held my ground. I felt like we went out there and did what we set out to go in there and do. I felt that the fans got the fight of the year. Like in the middle of that second round, when me and him was throwing, we was trading, and then we had a big exchange. The crowd went crazy, and we stepped back and looked at each other. Right there in my head, I goes, "It's fight of the year. It's fight of the year. Let's go. Let's keep going." Wop, 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 wop. We were back at it, So I enjoyed myself, even though I felt like I was fighting at half capacity. I enjoyed the fight, and I believe I earned his respect after that. When he came over and talked to me, and he told me that he didn't mean any disrespect that he said. And I understood him. But I'm a competitor. He's a competitor. That dog in the background whining is a competitor.
Man, that's my dog. I'm about to beat his little ass. Like I've already got.
You got on to me last time about the quietness now, and you can't talk no shit now.
This is a dog from Jason Everhart, and Jason Everhart's dog that he gave me is about to get his little ass whooped. It's going to be the first fight I've been in since second grade, and I'm going to come out on top of this one.
He sure did get on you about being in the dark, man, but you did a damn good job of making sure that you was in a well-lit place today, Doug.
Right. Now that dog is bigger than him, so you better be careful. You might single leg
that part. Exactly.
Everything's bigger than me.
Now, we've been promoting this fight for the last 2 months, month and a half, man. We did the, you talked to us beforehand. You did the promos with Jenna Lee. You took part in the fight, the weight cut, the everything, man. Like, after all of this has taken place, man, how can you really surmise these last 2 months?
It was tough, but it was a really good camp. It was a really great fight camp. I had some really a lot of fun. I had some really good energy out there going into this fight. And that just carried me the whole camp, man. So this was one of the best fight camps I'd ever been in. The cut was tough. Like I said, the weight cut was real tough. That was real hard on me. Bentley had to struggle through that. But, I did the best I could with what my body would give me. Next go around, I'm pretty sure I probably will not water load if I go back to 85. I just think my body couldn't handle it. It was probably just too much at one time. Other than that, man, it was an excellent fight camp. And I got a lot closer to the guys at American Top Team with that. And I got a lot closer with those guys. So it was a really good thing. It was a really good thing.
My final question to you is how's your daughter?
She's good. We're talking more. I messaged her before the fight, messaged her after the fight, told her what happened. And she was like, "Oh, you feel bad?" I said, "No, baby." I said, I went in there. I dedicated that fight to you. I went in there and I fought for you, and I fought my heart out until my hand gave out. So I did what I set out to do. And, I never cared about the belt. The fight to me wasn't for the belt. I really didn't even recognize that belt was there. So the fight to me was was the fight itself, and to honor my daughter, my oldest daughter, who tried to commit suicide a few weeks ago at 16 years old. So that's the reason I was fighting, and I fought the way I did, even though when my body was telling me to give up. I kept marching through it because I was fighting for someone and not for myself.
First off, I threw that dog outside. I hope a fox or coyote comes and eats the shit out of my dog right now. And I'm going to ask Jason Everhart for a refund on my money. But me and Stein over at District joke that you've retired after every single fight in the last 2 years. You actually broke your hand in this one. Why didn't you retire after this one? I mean, it's almost the perfect opportunity to.
I got so much love, man. My inbox is overloaded. Instagram, Messenger, text messages, but just people just congratulating me on the fight. And my coaches was like, "That's the best you've ever looked. You ain't never looked that good before. That was a different animal in there." And I really appreciated it. So, there's always, at my age, there's always, thoughts in your head that this could be the last fight. But after the amount of just love and support that I got after Saturday night, and losing the fight, because I smashed my hand to pieces, just the amount of support and just the good job, and everybody was telling me how good I did, just keeps that battery in my back going to go out there and keep it rolling, and I got to go back in my camp and change some things and some training. I had to change some of my training around too, so I can be a little more technical the next time I go out.
Dr. Usher, I do agree with that. I do agree this is the best you've looked in a fight in a very long time. And I said to someone sitting next to me, I was like, damn, I was like, I thought you were going to gas after one round with the weight cut and the age and maybe losing a little bit of steam and your other business doing so well right now. I thought you were going to gas after one round, but you proved me wrong. And I do agree that was the best you've looked in a very long time that I've seen. While you're out right now and the rematch might not happen, Amir Dadovic has hit us up about Amir fighting Jared for the title belt. They fought back in 2016. That's now been about 6 years. Yeah, they fought at you've been at every single fight I've had, so of course you were there.
Cowboys, yeah, they fought the Cowboys.
It was NFC 84 in 2016. Yep. Jared won that fight. What's your thoughts on Amir Dadovic versus Jared?
Good fight. I think Amir would be prepared for the ground this go around. Jared took him down all 3 rounds last time they fought. It was a good game plan. I mean, Amir's a good stand-up guy. You really don't want to stand and trade with that guy a lot. So, he's a great Muay Thai fighter. Always has been a great Muay Thai fighter. He's got his jiu-jitsu black belt now, and he's pretty good on the ground. So it'd be a very, very interesting fight.
That was my question, is how do you think it would go different than years ago? Because I guess when we're always looking to make a fight, if it has already happened, we try to think of how would it go different than it did years ago. And I think Jared's at the top of his game right now. Had a couple UFC losses, but he is at the top right now, and haven't seen anything truly phenomenal competitive-wise out of Amir lately. I don't think he was even competed in the last year or two, really. So that's what I was talking to Jesse about, is why we'd want to make that for the title. And what has Amir shown to do that? So it's interesting seeing you say it would be pretty competitive now.
Yeah, I think it would be competitive. Although we hadn't seen Amir fight in a long time, it would be pretty competitive. And I think Amir has always wanted to run that fight back. So I think it would sell, honestly, because Amir still has a huge following and fan base. So apparently Jared does too. So that would be a great fight. A great fight, and I think it would sell out.
You do know your fan base Saturday night was a lot bigger than Jared's. I love both you guys, but your fan base was larger Saturday night.
One more for the old guys.
Now, we had on Tony Hope just right before you came on, Doug, and we do appreciate your time, man. I know we've had you a while here on the pod, bro, but you're definitely an OG of the game. And I saw that as I go to all the different gyms and I talk to different fighters, man, they respect you. They respect Doug Usher at different gyms around here. But we had Tony Hope on I recommended. I would love to see him and your pupil, Seth Haas, go at it, man. What are your thoughts on Seth? We saw him fight a couple weeks ago against Cameron Burton. You obviously trained with him. He is a pupil of yours. What do you think about Seth? And then, I saw you were on and heard a little bit about what Tony Hope had to say. What do you think about that young man?
All right, first of all, I want to turn this stupid thing off on this truck. First of all, I want to address that baby bottle that Oblas is drinking out of. He's drinking juice out of a baby bottle with a sippy cup. That looked like a sip. Put the sippy cup back up. Don't cheat.
This is all I've
Don't
had.
cheat. Put the sippy cup back up. All right. It looked like a sippy cup for a second. That was a sippy cup. You playing with me. You put a bottle in on purpose because somebody saw it.
You're smiling too much. I'm going to take a photo of this.
Yeah. So as far as the fight, Seth, there's a reason I call that kid 40 cal. When he hits pads or he hits a bag, like something's wrong with this kid. Like he'll really walk through the gym and we'll just be talking at the gym. He'll walk through the gym and you'll hear pow. And you just turn around and he's punched something in the gym. And I'm like, dude, what is wrong? What's wrong with you? And then he just does this right here and he walks off. And I just look at people. I say, that kid just randomly punches shit all the time. He does it daily. Just walks by stuff and just blasts it. So you have to be prepared for that. But when he hits pads, like his power, and it sounds like somebody's actually shooting a gun, like a 40, like a Glock 40. Like, bow, 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 bow. So that's why I gave him the nickname 40 cal. The kid's got a lot of talent, man. I still been working with him on his kickboxing. He's not a kickboxer, he's a boxer. But he grew up doing karate. He is a black belt in American karate, but he got his black belt when he was like 12 years old, and then he crossed over and been boxing ever since. Now he's like 22 or 23. So he's a boxer at heart. That's what he knows. So I've been the last fight, I was trying to reincorporate his karate into his fighting style. So that's why we saw him kick a little bit more the last fight. I was like, Seth, we're going to go back to your roots. We're going to go back to your karate. Bring your black belt with you when you walk to the ring. That's why he walked out with his gi and his black belt on. So I've been working with him on that. So now he's throwing a lot more kicks at the end of his punches. But then, he messes around and gets hit one time, and then he blanks out and goes here and turns into that boxer and comes forward and tries to clean your head off, but he's a really tough kid, man. He's getting better. We're going to try to cross him over into MMA at some point, but right now he's loving the kickboxing, and he wants a rematch with old boy that's got that belt, because that fight was a draw. He wants that fight back. Before I guess that the last guy could take the winner of the rematch, but that rematch for that belt has to happen, because that was a title fight that ended in a draw. We want to run that back.
I'm trying to look at the guy's name as we talk. It was
Cameron
was
Burton.
It Cameron Burton?
Yeah,
and I think
great. Hey, that was a good fight.
Yeah, I think Cameron said he's locked up with another fight till at least January or February, or a tournament or something like that. So I think we're looking at sometime later next year, early next year. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Seth's stomach was pretty red and messed up after that fight. So I think we're going to give him a little bit of time also.
Oh, he was fine. He's back in the gym the next week.
All right. Shows I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah.
What about, I was going to ask you about Krista. Is Krista done, or is she getting any better?
She's back training. She's back in the gym with the rest of the team. Just not going super hard.
Do you think her career's over for fighting, or are you expecting her back?
She'll be back.
Okay.
She went through this in 2017, 2018.
Are you at a race
19?
track?
No, 2019. BP this time.
BP
this time. We got a lot better lighting.
Do people think you're like a little pervert there sitting in your car talking to yourself?
No, they know I'm talking on the phone.
With the crying dog in the background.
Yeah, they know I'm on the phone. And a little bitty Jewish guy drinking out a sippy cup.
Is he having something?
Hey, I love to see that just y'all's relationship, man. That's a beautiful thing. Doug, Before we part ways this evening, man, your final thoughts, man. Something on your mind, your body, your spirit, your soul you want to leave us here with on the NFC Now pod.
Man, I left the ring feeling good, and that's all that mattered. I left the ring feeling accomplished. You know, didn't win the fight because I broke my hand. That sucks, but I just really enjoyed the moment. Being out there, I enjoyed the moment. I enjoyed all my fans that came out. That supported me, and I had the thing about that was that whole camp. It was my first time actually in a very, very, very long time actually enjoying fight camp and in the fight and everything else. So even though I felt like crap during the fight, I was still I guess I was so thankful afterwards that it just made everything just delightful for me. Like today was a really good day for me. I really enjoyed myself, even though I have to have surgery on my hand. The X-ray showed the break and everything. I still went out to where my grandmother lives out in Latonia and just hung out there for a little bit and just enjoyed the breeze and made a little video and sat on the bench right there on the main street all by myself, just relaxing and just enjoying the moment and just being thankful, for being a part of all of this.
And it was cool for us also because I don't get emotional. I'm not going to. But I've liked you and Jared for a long time. I feel like you guys started your amateur career with NFC. You guys have fought all the way back from the beginning of NFC, Wild Bills and stuff like that, dealing with you guys as amateurs. I think he said last week that he hit me up when he was either in high school or 17 years old, and I helped him find his first gym, Philippe Gentry. Before Philippe was even SBG, I think he was possibly Eagle Kickboxing or Gentry's Fitness back then. So when we saw you guys beefing online and you guys called for this fight, we didn't have a show in October, and I called Stein over at District, and would you even entertain a special 5 to 9 p.m. show? I don't know if people would come out. I don't know if I can afford what they want. I don't think I can put any other pro fighters on this card because of the purse money that you guys wanted and the purse money that you guys really deserved. I didn't know how the fans would show up from 5 to 9 show. Going to the calendar, I knew it was Tennessee versus Alabama. I knew there was a couple good boxing MMA fights on. I knew in October people like to be outside at 5 p.m. So we created an event just around you guys, almost like McGregor versus Diaz. But I told Jesse and Charlene that's our job as the number one fight promoter in Georgia. When these opportunities come up, it's our job to find a way to make them happen. So it was kind of cool for us to see this take place and to go from nothing in 4 weeks to what it was and kind of a special, unique event.
Yeah. Stein put that fight on because it was me. I believe when Stein, because he keeps missing all my fights, man. People don't know I've known Stein for years, from when I bounced at Flip Flops for 10 years. He worked downstairs. He was the manager at the Cuckoo Room. And we would always mop the floors at night and spill a bunch of water down there. And he would run upstairs and kick in the back door to Flip Flops and be like, "Downstairs is flooded. Stop pouring that fucking mop water all over the place." Cuss us out. And I always would go downstairs afterwards and mess with him and come in the back door and be like, "Doors open." I say that every time. Stein, he'd look over, I go, "Doors open," because it's supposed to stay locked. So me and Stein go way back. And he kept missing my fights there at the District. He was like, "Man, every time I'm out of town, man, you're fighting here. I'm tired of missing your fights." So I'm like, "Dave, when you told me about it, I was like, I only want the District." He's like, "Let's do Tannery Row." I was like, "No." He's like, "Pink Pony." I was like, "No." I said, "Only at the District." He's like, "Well, I don't think Stein's gonna do it. Tell Stein I'm fighting, then he'll do it." Yeah. So I believe that's the reason why he did it when he finally got to see me fight again.
Yeah, I mean, we stuck around till 1:30 in the morning the other night just checking out the EDM. I've never been at the EDM show, and I was hanging out with Stein and other people there, and the bartenders were yelling at me. They're like, "We're going to be here till 4 in the morning, and it's because of you that we had to get here at 3 p.m. to start setting up." So, even the bartenders and security guys get there at 3 p.m. for a 5 p.m. show. We end at 10. We completely flipped the room from 10 to 11. They open up at 11:30. They had 1,200 people in there Saturday night, and they're open till 3 in the morning and don't leave till 4. So you're talking about every person on staff at District had over a 12-hour day just to make this fight happen the way it is. So it's pretty cool that a lot of people don't know that stuff that goes into it. But when Stein agreed to do that, I think his bartenders made money, but I think everyone there kind of hated us. So
cocaine. That's the secret to those late club nights. Cocaine, ladies and gentlemen. Madre coca is cocaine.
Doug Usher, man.
That's it.
You the man. We appreciate you for just taking time to join us on the pod today, bro. And I think most importantly, man, I think your spirit speaks for itself, bro. As David said, he rarely catches you smiling, man. I just been looking at the screen the whole time, bro. You've been happy, and I don't know whether that's you not having to work for anybody else, you being in control of your own destiny, or you just being just a complete martial artist, not saying no to anybody and stepping in the cage with everybody to do what you do, or the fact that you're able to just have that dialogue with your daughter, and y'all just continue to just flow and move, and her be here and just be strong, man. So, hey, man, we respect you. And not just David and I, the NFC community, the fight fans, man, we respect you for going out there and putting on a hell of a show, a hell of a performance, man, and showing that, hey, Doug Usher is still one of the top fighters here in this region, man. So thank you for joining us here on NFC Now.
Thank y'all, man. I enjoyed my time here on the show.
Indeed.
Peace.